Hi, I'm Matt, and I'm on my final day of my 21-day compulsory hotel quarantine here in Hong Kong. Oh, that was a mouthful. And I'm so glad that I decided to choose to do it here in Nina Hotel Island South, which up until a week ago used to be called L'Hotel, or a lot of people used to call it El Hotel. Anyway, let's get started with my thoughts of the room. First of all, the room size is huge. It is 30 square meters or 320 square feet, which is actually bigger than a lot of Hong Kong flats. Another thing which helps the room feel as big as it does is how much functional storage space there is built in. So I have managed to store both of my checked-in suitcases, including that very large one, as well as most of my clothes, and with room to spare. Bottom line is, this room has plenty of space and more than enough to make your quarantine stay enjoyable. Over here, there's an area which works really well as a kitchenette, which is how I've set it up. It's not a true kitchenette because remember, this is a hotel room, not a suite or even a studio apartment. They do supply you with a kettle, and I've brought a few of my own things. But the hotel was actually able to supply me with plates and glasses and things like that. And yet again, there's even more storage. And in here, you've got a standard hotel mini bar-sized fridge. I would say it's probably on the smaller side of things because you can't even fit bottles like this into the door. So not the largest, but for what I've needed it for the past 20 days, it's done me pretty fine. Breakfast, lunch and dinner are provided by default. Lunch today is sweet and sour pork, which is one of my favorite things on the menu. Bit of a guilty pleasure thing for Sunday lunch. Each day of the week and each meal of that day, what you get is fixed, so everyone gets the same. However, there are different menus that you can choose from. So the 4 listed on the website are the normal menu, the healthy menu, the vegetarian menu, and the halal menu, which has no pork. But if you ask them, there are 2 secret menus, which are also the Western menu and the vegan menu. For most part, I have gone with the normal menu, but I have been a little bit cheeky in that I have been ringing them up and saying, like, tomorrow's dinner, I don't really like the normal menu, can I just swap dinner to this particular menu? And they have been really, really accommodating to requests like that. Don't start choosing breakfast vegan, lunch halal, and dinner Western. That would screw everybody up, and that's unfair. But the hotel does seem to be very, very accommodating if you do want to make reasonable requests to swap in and out meals. I don't normally eat breakfast, but I do like to eat a lot of fruit, so I have requested that they swap my breakfast to just give me some fruit. In terms of the standard of food, if I'm completely honest, I would rate it something like a 6.5 out of 10. It's not going to excite you really. It's not hotel, restaurant, gourmet standards. Think more home cooking, local, basic restaurant. But in a way, I think that's quite a good thing for the fact that you're doing this 3 meals a day for 21 days. Now, some other hotels that I've seen, the food is really, really good looking and also probably quite unhealthy to eat for all of 21 days. Yeah, food, nothing to get too excited about, but at the same time, I don't think there's anything to complain too much about. Now, I do tend to jazz up my meals a little bit, so I quite often will reheat at least a part of my meal. I'll add in my own condiments, and I also tend to replate things up, which makes it a lot nicer. I'm actually making a separate video of things like how you can improve whatever food you're given. That's in a separate video I'm making of the practical aspects of being in quarantine and my top tips for how to not just survive but really enjoy the quarantine experience. So to make sure that you're subscribed to my channel and check out that other video when it is available. Over here, there's a glass table which functions quite well as a work desk. There's a desk lamp. I don't think there's many plug points in this room. There's a couple here, there's one in that corner, and two more by the side of the bed, which isn't that many considering how many devices somebody like me would have these days. But the hotel did give me electrical extension boards when I asked for them. Above here also is a television, which is actually quite an old television. It's not a smart television or anything like that. So I would definitely recommend that you bring along an HDMI cable so that you can plug your laptop or whatever device into the television. Nina Hotel does seem to have a knack for covering certain things in plastic, like this remote control for the television, as well as this phone, which don't really bother me, but I'm just curious as to whether or not this is government regulations or they're just really taking this hygiene thing super seriously. So if you know, and if you know of other quarantine hotels that do this, then leave me a comment and let me know. So these things I don't really mind too much, but what I did find particularly strange was that even the pillows were covered in plastic wrap over these pillow protectors and underneath the pillowcases. I found this when I checked in on my first day at 3 a.m. and I removed them. My logic being that if somebody like me is staying in a room 21 days, I've tested COVID negative 3 times now, then this is not really any different to staying in a hotel normally, so plastic wrap completely unnecessary. So you either get a city view room or a hill view room. I've chosen to pay 100 Hong Kong dollars extra per night to get this amazing view. So much greenery of Aberdeen Country Park. At home, I normally have a very distinctly Hong Kong city view, which I love, but this view to me is well worth the extra 100 Hong Kong dollars per night. Now, as for the windows themselves, unfortunately, they don't open. So if that's something that's really important to you, the only options here at Nina Hotel Island South are some balcony rooms that they have on a much lower floor. I think it's on the first floor, which comes at a price of something like 50% more than these normal rooms. So I would question whether or not they're really worth that much money, but you know, everyone values these things differently. This Chinese egg tart's really one of my favorite things ever. And the hotel, now called Nina Hotel, is really quite good with giving these little treats every so often. So they don't come every day, but that's kind of a good thing because it breaks up the monotony of quarantine. So you never quite know whether or not something's going to show up in front of your door. Of course, these things aren't very expensive, but like they say, it is the thought that counts, and I really appreciate these little gestures. The other day, it was the 15th day of Chinese New Year, and we got these hongyun, which are sticky rice balls in a syrup, which is what you would traditionally eat that day of Chinese New Year. Besides edibles, then we also have been getting some puzzles. I did my first ever Sudoku, which took a lot longer than I expected to. Crossword, both of which you do get prizes if you complete it. And also some more artsy things. So I also got this paint by number set, which looks far more complicated than I was about to deal with. So that's sat in the cupboard. I completely appreciate all these little gestures. They really do help me get through the quarantine period. So thanks. Going into the bathroom, you'll see that there is an actual bath, which is pretty nice to relax in during quarantine. And there's also this really cool mirror with basically like a giant ring light, great for photos. And I also really like how the sink is laid out because it's got loads of space, counter space. I've been storing my toiletries on this side, and on this side I've actually been washing up my plates and mugs and stuff. They do provide some toiletries, so they've got bath gel and shampoo. I did say there's loads of storage space everywhere in this hotel room, and the bathroom is no different. Another place which you can store some stuff is underneath the sink. But this brings me to something that I don't particularly like about Nina Hotel. This is how much plastic waste I've generated in these 21 days of my quarantine. And unfortunately, a lot of it is not something that I had any choice over. So this is one thing that does bother me. I'm not really convinced that Nina Hotel has really thought about, or at least prioritized, the sustainability part of it. And to a lot of guests like myself, that is quite an important element. Now, of course, when you're going through quarantine, it will naturally generate a whole bunch of waste, as does day-to-day living, but there are definitely ways we can do better. One that really annoys me are all of these plastic food containers. Now, you get served 3 meals a day. Quite often they'll come in multiple plastic containers. As you can see, I've collected over 3 weeks. There's definitely better ways to do sustainable packaging, compostable packaging that I've seen some other hotels do. In fact, I actually think I've seen it in their marketing materials. So if you're going to market it like that, show it like that, then please do follow through with your actions. Another simple thing is, this is a trade-off, because I do appreciate that Nina Hotel wants to be generous in providing supplies, but come on, like, who even uses these hotel slippers these days? And 2 boxes of bottled water, and I was completely happy drinking tap water, boiling tap water, and instead we end up with mini bottles of plastic. And then, of course, all of the food comes in plastic bags. So, Nina Hotel, if you are watching this, then I really do hope that you can put more effort into making things greener and more sustainable. What I'm going to have to do is take all of this stuff away with me to get recycled, because according to the Hong Kong government regulations, the hotel is not allowed to not just reuse stuff that I haven't even touched, but apparently they're not even allowed to recycle anything. And I've heard this from other hotels, so this is not a Nina Hotel thing. Hong Kong government, what are you doing? We have been in here for 21 days. We've tested negative 3 times. There is absolutely no chance that we're spreading anything. In fact, we're safer than anybody who'd bump in the street. So come on, Hong Kong government. When you're spending 24 hours a day in the same space, you're sleeping, working, eating, doing exercise, all in here, then it can be quite quick for the space to become messy and a little bit dirty. Now, being quarantined, then of course no one is allowed into your room, and there are no housekeeping services. But they've done what I think is the next best thing, which is to provide quite an impressive looking stash of cleaning products to help you self-service your room. So, what did I think overall of my 21 days being quarantined here in Nina Hotel Island South? I thought it was absolutely amazing, way better than I could have imagined it. I actually really quite enjoyed my quarantine. What? Well, let's start with a couple of negative points that I mentioned, which is 1, the sustainability angle. I really do hope that the hotel can consider and do something more about it. And number 2 is the food. It's okay, but I do think like with a little bit more effort, then the food could be so much better. Simple things like not overcooking the vegetables, or also just making sure that the things that are put together in the meal work together. Simple things like that. That said, I think those 2 points are quite minor in the whole grand scheme of things. The room itself, I've mentioned, is absolutely really well laid out. The view of the hills and all that greenery that I get to see also has been so nice. One thing that I hadn't really explicitly mentioned, but I do think is the one thing that really sets apart Nina Hotel Island South to other hotels, is their customer service. Now, I've practically been ringing the customer service number every day, maybe sometimes a few times a day, and they could not have been more helpful. So the usual response would be either no problem or let me go and see what I can do about it. And that is just so nice for somebody as a guest. And if I think about it, 95% of all my requests have been met. Everybody from the general manager to the person answering the phone, I think, has been doing such an amazing job. So thank you so much for that. Some of us fellow inmates, as we affectionately call ourselves, we have a WhatsApp chat group going, and these past few Fridays we've been organizing virtual drinks over sort of web meeting, Microsoft Teams. We told the hotel about it and they were so nice, and they provided us with some treats. And not only that, we ended up getting these handmade cards. So that's just another of those personal touches that I think really sets Nina Hotel Island South apart. Now, just to be clear, this is not a sponsored video. I'm not getting any remuneration from this. So everything I'm telling you is absolutely my honest opinion, and I'm just so happy with the hotel that I wanted to make this video and share my experience. That's it. I did contact the hotel and tell them that I am making this video, and I did secure something for you guys watching this video. So if you do decide to make a booking at Nina Hotel Island South, then when you make your booking, just tell the reservations team that you watched this video on the Exennial Traveller YouTube channel, and they'll arrange a little special treat for you. But whatever it is, I wish you best of luck, especially if you're going to go through this quarantine process. I do have a couple of other videos, one where I show you the entire process from entry in Hong Kong airport to all the quarantine regulations and to the end of my quarantine. Yes! And another where I'm sharing with you all the practical tips that I've learned of how I made my quarantine so enjoyable. So they will be on my YouTube channel, so make sure you're subscribed and check them out when they are available. Well, that's it. I hope to see you in another one of my videos, but in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy.